Welcome to the Data Strategy Show. My name's Samir Sharma and I'll be your host for the next 60 minutes. My guest today is the fantastic Emmanuel Osanga. Emmanuel is the Head of Data Management for Africa regions at Standard Bank. He's got more than 19 years of experience in the area of data management, data analytics, business intelligence and information systems, with degrees in computer science and mathematics from Makerere University in Uganda. He's a data evangelist and has developed and implemented data strategies in the financial services sector in more than 15 countries within Africa. He's absolutely passionate about developing future skills and as a result has initiated a data science pipeline program at Standard Bank Group Africa that has been running since 2017 and has been instrumental in shifting the data and analytics culture. I hope you enjoy this episode. Please don't forget to subscribe and leave your comments. Thank you. Emmanuel Osanga, thank you very much for coming onto the Data Strategy Show today. It's an absolute delight to have you. Emmanuel, for the listeners out there, just tell me a bit about yourself and your journey to data.
Thank you, Samir, for having me. I'm so privileged to be part of your show. I know we've connected for some time now, and I follow what you do globally, and you've been a good support even to some of the initiatives that we drive in the continent.
Thank you.
Very interesting journey for me, probably involved with data my entire career spanning 19 years now. Mm-hmm. But I've really been aggressively and deliberately pushing this data transformation agenda for the last maybe 3 or 4 years in the continent. And in the continent, I mean where we operate as Standard Bank. And yeah, so really focusing on this journey, I think it's been the last 3 to 4 years where we really focused, put lots of attention to driving this initiative. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It has been an exciting non-stop kind of campaign trail. Sometimes I feel like a president or evangelist.
I'll have to call you Mr. President.
It's becoming really the way we do business in the organization. And I'm sure for most organizations, it's not any different. And my role really has been to develop the critical foundation blocks required by our organization to go through this transformation journey and lead the entire organization in the region through the journey. Mm-hmm. I can't underscore, I think, the investment that the organization has made in this part as part of our future readiness transformation journey, right from educating our boards to taking our executives to places like MIT, China, to really expose them to what is possible in this future readiness state. And data has been a common subject. So whereas we've been pushing as evangelists, evangelizing the organization, I have got tremendous help from the entire organization in investing in this capability. Mm-hmm. So it's been a very interesting journey, very exciting for me, and I've really enjoyed this. I've been in data, like I told you, for many years, but in the last 3-4 years, it's really when I've enjoyed, because we kind of have momentum in the organization pushing this transformation journey. So it's it's been a very exciting period.
Mm-hmm. So, sorry, carry on. I thought you had finished there.
Yeah, and I would say the 15 odd years have not gone to waste, because I think that's where the foundation was laid, in as much as the entire globe or the world was not recognizing the value of data. Correct. It's now come to the fore. So the effort that we spent in the last so many years trying to bring this to the fore, I think it's beginning to pay dividends, and I think we're privileged to be in this time.
Fantastic. Look, I wanted to pick up on one particular thing that you mentioned earlier in what you've talked about and your journey. And you talk about data transformation. I talk about it, lots of other people talk about it, but tell me, what does data transformation mean to you and Standard Bank in that sense?
Yeah, so I will probably simplify it. What does it really mean? My view is data transformation is just creating a data-driven culture in an organization and making data a common language in doing business. That's my own definition of what this transformation, what data transformation would mean.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, it's mastering the science and art of leveraging this critical asset. If you can master this, and I use the word very specifically, science and art of leveraging this critical asset, you will be confident that you're transforming.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, I would say creating that Google effect with your data. And that is really simplifying it to the end consumer. I remember, and this thing has stuck with me for the last 4 years. One of my executives said, the day I can Google a client that I'm going to see and have every information that we have as an organization about this client, I will say that we've arrived. So that is
Mm-hmm.
her definition of success. Success means I can have that Google effect. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to see a client, type that client the way you do with Google. Google has become a
Yep.
synonym for what? That's her definition of success.
Mm-hmm.
So for her, if we say we really transformed this to provide her that Google effect.
So what would be the pillars of data transformation for you? What would be the key areas that enable an organization to transform with their data?
I would pick a number of and I would generalize them. I think the first thing is governance.
Mm-hmm.
Not governance, and I know people don't like governance. I can tell you, somewhere when I was evangelizing and telling people now we need another governance forum, they're like, no, we have thousands of those. We don't have time, and you know how executives spend the whole day in governance meetings. So adding a layer to that, it's not something that people want.
Mm-hmm.
They'll or resist it.
Mm-hmm.
But my view is that without understanding who owns it, who is responsible and accountable for each stage in the life cycle of the data life cycle, who are moving, you will be moving nowhere
Mm-hmm.
completely.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important for you to create that round table where all these issues are addressed frequently. For me, that's the first thing. Governance. If there's anything that can really lift or shift the dial, is to create that round table where your business leaders talk about this subject.
Okay.
Without that, you're going nowhere. The second pillar that I would really, and this is the one that I'm really passionate about, obviously, given my evangelistic role, is culture. And my view is that without winning the hearts and minds of everyone in the organization, you will struggle big
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
You need to carry everyone through this journey and make data a common language in your organization. And for this to happen, you need some form of instructor or conductor, or what I'm calling an evangelist with very strong executive support. So for me, culture, and as people say, culture, it's strategy. You have to lift the culture of the organization. And
Mm-hmm.
it's the entire organization. It's not a selected
Sure.
few. Everybody, one executive did told when I was trying to say we need to create this center of excellence, he told me data is everyone's problem. It's not for a selected data team, it's everyone's problem. That's the starting point. Yes, you need people to enable, but but you need to ensure that the entire organization moves in this journey with you. So the second thing I would think is culture in terms of the pillars.
Mm-hmm.
The third one I think is skills.
Mm-hmm.
We all agree that there's shortage of data skills globally.
Yeah.
And really, as organizations, you must start to close that gap in your organization by upskilling, reskilling, and creating a strong pipeline through whether grad programs, partnering with universities to ensure that you have that strong pipeline for these skills. Everyone is scrambling for these skills. I can tell you one of the biggest challenge that I have as a leader of the data team is retention. How do I retain the resources that I'm skilling and upskilling in the organization? But reskill the entire organization or upskill, but most importantly, ensure you have a strong pipeline that ensures that you keep bringing in these resources into your organization. The fourth one, and I'll stop with that one, is really having strong practices through the data lifecycle, whether it's collection, storage, analysis, or usage. You need to instill good data management practices like data quality management, data governance management. Are you able to catalog the data? Is there a proper ownership? Are you able to protect that data? And then the architecture, the data architecture. So those data management, instill a good data management practice in the organization, the entire organization. So those would be kind of my four recipes or pillars that you need to get right.
For data transformation. Love it.
Transform.
Really good. What I'd like to do is, I don't think, I mean, governance is a widely discussed topic. Data management itself is a foundational activity, I feel, that is extremely important to start, end, and continuous improvement for that journey. What I really wanted to sort of focus in on is what you call the data-driven culture. Now, that term is used heavily in lots of industry-specific papers and so on, but you know, it's very difficult to really grasp for a lot of people what a data-driven culture is. So from your perspective and from the bank's perspective, how did you start to define, transform, and deliver the outcomes that you wanted for a data-driven culture?
I think it's to start with, you need, and I did say, culture, really, it's you, it's the person. They say when you look in the mirror and you're looking at the culture. So it's actually starting with the individuals, shifting the minds and the hearts of the individuals. Just that shifting in thinking to say, when we're in a boardroom and somebody is presenting some maybe paper, or what's the first thing that you ask? Where is the evidence that backs this decision that you're going to make as a board, at a board level? If I look at, let's say, our teller at the branch in one of our rural locations, when the client walks in, what should be triggering in what should be triggered in their mind? It's the information or data about this client. What do I know about this client? When I see a client walk through the doors and is coming to me as a teller, what should be in my mind? Should I just be waiting for instruction from that client, or I should have the opportunity or enough information to kind of anticipate what this client is going to ask me, or have a meaningful conversation with the client? So really, it's just infusing the use of data in how you operate as an organization, from the board level to the frontline staff, the operational staff level. And this should be for every aspect of the organization. It's not for one specific area. It's not just for the boardroom justifying business cases or the frontline, but everyone in the organization. How do we create efficiencies in the organization using data? So continuous questioning and challenging yourself in this subject helps a lot. So for us to be able to do that, first of all, this data subject, for me, it's a new language.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's not something that you think you just turn a switch and everybody will. It's like learning. If I venture to learn Spanish, I have to invest time and effort in learning that, and I must get people to coach me.
Mm-hmm.
I must get appropriate manuals or like Google Translator. So it's learning a new language, creating a new language in the organization, and you should be able to, as an organization, help everybody to learn this new language.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes time. It's not an overnight. It's not something that you do overnight. So what have we done as an organization in lifting this? One is, for instance, we've rolled out what we call a data literacy program for everyone in the organization.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Where we just take the common terms, just make it easy for people, simplify it with videos. So once you've done that, that's kind of the first step. You can then go to the next advanced stages of the language, because the language gets more and more complex, from just the literacy to ability to have what you'd call native data scientists. So it's a journey, but there are a number of things that you can do. We've done things like bring external consultants or speakers like yourselves to come and speak to our leaders about the art of what is possible.
Mm-hmm.
By so doing that, it's difficult for me to go to a person that I sit with every day and tell them about this new thing. But if I get a new face in the organization that is able to demonstrate to the organization that this is a value that you'd extract from this capability, it makes my work so easy. So the likes of yourself, you've really been a big push in helping me drive this message. So definitely multiple ways of doing it, but I think those would be my quick kind of tips on what to do. Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I think data literacy itself, and there was one word you used a little bit earlier in the conversation, which was when you were talking around why data is used. And I think it's interesting for me, because we talk about a data-driven culture. Data underpins the things that we do, but actually you used the operative word, which was decisions, which really, that is where we're heading as organizations, with the ability to use data as an input to drive a decision or an action. And I think that's the bit which we as an industry probably need to magnify more. And I like the fact that you want to, I say weave data into the fabric of the culture. You say infuse, which is, it's a nice word. So you're infusing the understanding and the capabilities. So who does that apart from you in the teams at Standard Bank? How have you assembled a team that drives the data agenda, and how do you assess where people are on their journeys so that you know what types of interventions to add to their education, their sort of value, your value system at Standard Bank, and obviously their objectives? How have you done that? Because I think lots of people struggle to affect that with data, and I see that a lot. So it'd just be really interesting to get, for you to give an example of how you've done that at Standard Bank.
Yeah. I think first of all, we must be grateful for the organization for investing. I think there's been a lot of investment. We took all our board to MIT. They are MIT graduates now. And we're talking many people across the different countries where we operate, probably close to 100 board members have gone through that. Our execs have gone through the same exposure. So that really helps a lot. So it's not an Emmanuel initiative.
No, I understand.
It's all the leaders
Yeah.
in the organization driving this very deliberately.
And
And I
you've
know,
started at the top, which means
yes,
you've given the precedence and the importance of data
mm,
to the board and the C-suite and all of those executives and
yeah,
management, which is very, very key to the success of this. Sorry,
yeah.
carry on.
Massive investment, but I really must give it to our group chief executive in driving that, and that helps a lot. I can stand with confidence and say there's not a single executive in Standard Bank Group that does not know that this is an important problem that we need to solve.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that really, when we bring in now these data literacy programs, all the executives will be saying, I want 70% of my staff to have gone through this program in the next 3 months.
Right.
And we
Okay.
measure and equip them with that. Say, okay, we are at this level. Your country, as the chief executive, this is the level where you are, and therefore you need to use every means that you can through specific kind of communication plans that the teams have developed
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in driving that message. So and I want to say we use the entire capability that we have in the organization, whether it's the marketing and comms team, the finance team, to be able to measure. So everyone in the organization is involved in one form or shape
Sure.
in driving this capability.
Mm-hmm.
And I really want to say that has been one of the greatest advantage
Mm-hmm.
from my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
The other interventions that we then put in place just augments that. The
Mm.
leadership knows important. When we have a conference, they will make sure that everybody attends that conference. The last conference we had over 600 employees of the bank.
Wow. Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah, the one you are part of, the Tanzania one, over 450 attended.
Mm-hmm.
So that, because the entire organization understands the value that this will create for us and for our clients, it's no longer, you don't even have to struggle to
Mm-hmm.
push back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, it has been a journey. It's not been kind of an overnight
Sure.
thing, a switch. Yeah.
How long has this journey been for Standard Bank? I mean, for you personally and Standard Bank, how long has it been? And I'm sure it's probably still growing in an organic manner because something new comes up every day.
Yeah. Data transformation is a journey. It's not a destination in my view,
Yeah.
because things keep evolving. You think you've figured it today, and then something else comes.
Mm-hmm.
You think Hadoop is going to solve the problem, then now you have the native
Yeah.
data stores. So
Yeah.
it's an evolving journey. Number one, number
Yes.
two, and we're just talking technology. Even the clients have evolved. Clients actually saying, I want everything in one place. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want financial services. I actually want more. So I think it's just defining the why,
Yes.
continue defining that why keeps you in that journey and narrow
Mm-hmm.
path. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, you've got quite a complex landscape within
Yeah.
Standard Bank. I mean, you're Pan-African. I mean, you are international bank anyway, but just for the fact that you are managing and leading teams across the continent, how difficult is it to absolutely be on top of standards, processes, because that's the other thing that you talked about, practices, and the core data management piece. Because I'm sure there's a number of people who will be listening to this who will be in the same position, that have got either a continental sort of remit, or a global remit. How do you piece that all together, and be able to drive forward all of those things around, dare I say it, the boring side of it, governance, but really the structures and the ambition of where data is heading? How have you managed to do that in what I would consider quite a complex organization?
Yeah. I think the best way I can, and I do agree with you. We have different regulators for
Yes. I mean,
countries,
regulation is a huge thing. Yeah.
how we operate. Uh, the best that we've done, and we're quite confident with that, is one, create stuff that is principle based.
Mm-hmm.
What are the principles, the guiding principles for these standards that you want to apply?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk uh, our information architecture. These are the guiding principles,
Mm-hmm.
and then allow the teams to apply their minds in implementing that. So we're very principle based.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes what we call toolbox. We develop specific toolbox
Okay.
tools that we put into the
Yeah.
toolbox,
Mm-hmm.
and then we allow the organization to engage with it.
Mm-hmm.
As long as those principles are adhered to, you will ensure the appropriate standardization.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can also not just say this is how it will be done, and this is it.
Sure.
It's in consideration regulation. So
And
it's really
yeah.
principle based, and building some, putting
Yeah.
tools in the toolbox for those different countries to use.
Yeah. And surely some of those different countries will be less mature than others. So
Correct.
you are obviously on a very different scale of what tools that you can provide them. So give me an example of where you've had to really guide, lead, and bring forward one of the countries that you would say has been enabled by this transformation. I'm sure everybody has, but is there one example that sticks out that really says, do you know what, we did a fantastic, amazing job here, and this is how it transformed the community of Standard Bank employees?
Yeah. And I think you're raising a very good point, given the span that we have in the region. It was important for us to POC or start
Yeah.
somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with one of the countries, made sure that we're able to actually show, create that value. And we developed what I call a blueprint that we then took to all the other countries where we
Fantastic.
operate. So it's very important for you. And even if you look at those countries, they are different levels. So we did
Yeah.
not take all the 17 at once. There are those who are just below the one that I've talked about, maybe two, and then another five set that is slightly below that. So we clearly monitor, and with that blueprint now we're actually able to measure
Mm-hmm.
that progress on a continuous basis. So you can't boil the ocean. You have to
No,
pick
you can't.
one
Yeah.
country, test it,
Yeah.
make sure it's working, then move to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that we've seen that has really enabled us to accelerate this journey is the countries learn from each other. So we've created what we call community of practices
Mm-hmm.
across the group, where we've created platforms for people to share their experience. So you
Fantastic.
don't have to drive that yourself as a
Mm-hmm.
master. So we've created a blueprint, and one country like Nigeria has done it, or Ghana, the other people can learn from that
Yeah.
country, and very practical ways of kind of duplicating knowledge across the organization. So we've been able to have that multiplier effect
Mm-hmm.
because of that, the platforms we've created for people to share their experiences, and that
Fantastic.
accelerated
Yeah.
the journey for us.
And I think that peer-to-peer is so important, because not everybody will have the answer. You know, not we all have been on that journey. We've all worked in companies, but you know, there's not one person who will have every single thing, who will know every single thing. And I think that's the beauty of community and collaboration, specifically across data, because you really can focus in and understand what issue did you have, and why did you have that, and how did you tackle it, and what enabled you to do that. But you know, interesting, as I've been sitting here, Emmanuel, and listening to you, there's one thing that strikes me that's very that I'd like to explore a little bit further with you. And I think it's the idea of generally where you have operated, the way that you have spoken, you have a specific type of leadership. And as a data leader, And I'm sure there's going to be people listening to this who would want to get to a point where they're data leaders, driving in the organization forward, forming data strategies, and making sure that the value of data is and the treatment of it as an asset is absolutely embedded into the organization. What qualities would you suggest to those up and coming data leaders that they need to start thinking about, they need to start developing consciously, and they need to start engaging other people across different communities? What do you think those types of the sort of characteristics of that individual should be?
Yeah, I think the first thing is, as a leader, as a data leader, start with the why. Why are you actually doing this as a leader? Is it aligned to the aspiration of the organization, or you were just doing something on the side because everybody is doing it? I think the first thing is start with the why.
Absolutely.
And we know that's a very widely discussed subject as well. Understand why. Why do you need data transformation as an organization? Does it drive your digital transformation or future readiness? What is it going to do for your organization? What is data enabling in the organization? So that's why it's very important. Number one. Number two is create an enabling environment. You cannot do all these things by yourself. Actually run a virtual team, I must say. Most of the guys are localized in the different countries. And yeah, they are executing. All I need to do is to create for them that enabling environment. As the thought leader in this subject, you have to be able to coach and mentor. You're leading the way, so your role should be to ensure that you pull those people that you're leading along. Don't create an expectation and think that they will just solve it. I think as a leader, you need to create that environment that enables people to actually execute what you want.
Sure.
I think the last one I would probably think is you have to create networks, because this is everybody's problem. If you're going to be siloed or in a corner somewhere and thinking you're going to create some data science models that is going to create magic in the organization, you're going to fail. You need to create very strong relationships with your business leaders as a data leader, and be on their faces anytime that you have opportunity to be there. And I think the other point with the leaders, not just going and telling them about you need to position understand, listen to what their business problem is, and as a leader, go back to them and demonstrate to them how data is going to solve that, what keeps them awake.
Yeah.
I can tell you they will give you attention. As long as you're able to tell them how you're going to solve that thing that keeps them awake with your data capability, they would want to listen to you and see if this thing is giving me sleepless nights. Emmanuel has this wonder stick. Why wouldn't I want to take it?
Sure.
Yeah, so I think those would be maybe my quick kind of leadership skills that you require to navigate this.
And I love those skills, because I think they are absolutely so important for any person. What I love about what you've just mentioned is the fact that you've not mentioned anything about technology. And I think that absolutely drives the values of a leader who will be, up at a very, the coaching, the mentorship, the collaboration, building those relationships is absolutely key. So, I can see how well you've done, how you've permeated that culture, how you've driven that at Stanbic Bank. And I applaud you for that, because that's a very, very difficult thing to do in such a complex environment. So I think those are fantastic points to enable the leaders of tomorrow, to start to think where they need to move to. Just on the, where you are on your journey now, what's next for you, Emmanuel? where do you feel that you would like to transform and take the business, and what's next on that journey?
I think we're still scratching the surface. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot to be done, and we look at this as maybe 100 apartment blocks. So we are building one at a time. So we
Yes.
are very far from where we want to be. We
Mm-hmm.
just started this journey,
Mm-hmm.
and I keep emphasizing the word journey. It's a journey. It's not. We've arrived to the
Yeah.
destination. This is it. I think for us, the next step would be to
Mm-hmm.
scale capability
Sure.
in the organization. There are specific capabilities that we're building, like the data science skills. How do we scale that beyond just literacy? Can we
Mm-hmm.
have majority of the organization going beyond just being literate to advancing themselves in some of the the skills that are
Mm-hmm.
required to
Mm-hmm.
deliver assets. So for us, that's kind of the push. We've kind of created a small cohort of the capability for each of the countries. It's now to scale, try and
Right.
scale it across
Mm-hmm.
those organization. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
more,
Mm-hmm.
much more scale. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. On that note, Emmanuel, I'd really like to thank you for your time, for your energy, and for the great work that you do in the data community, and for all of the insights that you've provided today. I really want to thank you for that, and wish you good luck on the rest of that journey and that transformation for you and for Standard Bank.
Thank you very much. And I would just also tell the leaders that start today. Journey of 1,000 miles. Start with one step. Take that first step. And secondly, if you don't have resources or capacity internally, look for help. There are people there
Mm-hmm.
who can help you start this journey, like Samir. uh, do look for help, for professional help. Do not sit. You can get help externally as well. So you can reach out to people like Samir, who can help you as a leader to start this journey. Start today. Is all I can say as my parting shot.
Well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Thank you, Emmanuel.
Thank you very much.
Okay, you good with that?
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, I